Jonathan, really appreciate you being here with us. You're the creator of Tip of My Tongue, a really powerful documentary that gives an honest look at what it's actually like to live with aphasia. It shows that it's not about losing intelligence. It's about that disconnect between knowing exactly what you want to say and not being able to get it out. And that's something a lot of people don't fully understand until they see it. You've also expanded on that with your podcast, where you're talking with professionals and continuing the conversation around aphasia and recovery. So I want to start at the beginning and get a sense of who you were before everything changed. Before your stroke and before you were diagnosed with aphasia, how would you describe yourself?
Okay. I was a project manager. That was my job, and managing all sorts of projects. But that just before the stroke, I was working with the European Union over in sort of uh, in uh, I'm trying to think. Sorry, it's aphasia,
We know.
with yeah, with creative projects. I was on creative, and it was money. It was people who were wanted to expand their work in the EU, in Europe, and I was working in London, and I I I travelled across most of Europe over about 6 years, something like that, doing this work.
So your job consisted of a lot of traveling.
Yeah, lot of travel, lot of hard, lot of hard work with people who don't speak the same language, which was the
Okay, that's
hardest
hard.
thing actually. It set me up for being aphasic, I suppose. Yeah, lots of people whose first language was not English.
Are you bilingual?
Well, I speak a bit of French, but not very much. I would say probably not. I'd be lying if I said I was. But yeah, but I understand French. So yeah, no, so that was what I was doing.
So can you take us back to the day everything changed in
They happened. Yeah,
2019?
sure. Yeah, so I was working on one of these projects, and I was in London, and uh, we had a meeting in the morning, and that seemed to go okay. And I went out for lunch to meet somebody else I knew, and I started feeling very odd. Um, I can't even explain it, but I wasn't quite there all the time. Although I was speaking to this person and trying to keep on top of the discussion, but it was kind of it was disappearing from me, shall we say. I went back to where I was working, and then it kind of hit me. Then we were talking about me doing something on a piece on a piece that we were working on, and they said, "Could you change this line on this thing that we're working on?" And I couldn't. I couldn't. It all started to it swirled around. I didn't quite understand the words, and then I felt really odd. So I said, I think I have to stop. I'm not feeling terribly well. So they got a bit worried about this. So they got somebody to have a look, somebody in the place, and they thought, We better get you an ambulance." So the ambulance turns up about, I don't know how long, 15 minutes later or something. I'm in the center of London.
Okay, yeah. So
So you don't think, I'm not expecting it to be quick, but actually, for some reason, they turned up really quickly, and they dragged me into the ambulance and had a look. Went through the tests, and they said, "Well, we need to take you to hospital." And the hospital happened to be up the road. I mean, literally up the road. I could walk there. So we went there, and that was it. And I was admitted. They took a CT scan to find out what was going on, and they said, "Well, we have to keep you in. You've had a bleed on your brain."
so when they told you that you had a bleed on your brain, did they say that you had a stroke?
Well, no, that the word stroke didn't actually come out. To be honest, I mean, I didn't know I didn't know what a bleed on the brain. Obviously I
Right.
knew it was something important, but I didn't know it was part of stroke. that's what people with strokes talk about. So, nobody actually said when I was at when I was in hospital, actually said, "Oh, you've had a stroke."
Wow.
They talked about a bleed. The bleed
Mhm.
apparently stopped quite quickly, which is
Okay.
why I didn't lose any problems I didn't have any problems, physically. So I could
Okay.
walk and all that sort of stuff, but my speech had gone.
As soon as you were, in the hospital, was your speech already gone?
It had gone, yeah. I was just yes and no and that sort of thing, and I was obviously struggling for words as well.
Uh-huh. So how long were you in the hospital for?
I was only not long actually, about 6 no, 5 days. It was 5 days, and it happened
Okay.
to be over a weekend, so I might have been out quicker because
Mhm.
obviously they thought, because they did some tests about whether I could particularly whether I could had any stroke, well, I lost one side of my body or anything like that. So that was fine. And obviously the bleed had stopped when they did the
Mhm.
CT scan, so they must have known that it had stopped. And, I was in over a weekend, and
Mhm.
then on the Tuesday, I was taken I was ta they discharged me.
So when they discharged you, had anybody mentioned that you would have aphasia, or you heard that word yet?
Yeah, my wife is a psychologist, because of her training, she kind of she didn't know about aphasia, but she looked it up. She said, "I think that's what you've got," and she
Uh-huh.
said, "I think it's brokers." That this is from
Yes.
understanding what the medics had said.
Uh-huh. So she was really able to diagnose you.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, it was helpful.
Had the hospital planned any, therapy with you?
No. No, it was literally in and out. We did all that this therapy stuff we did ourselves. Well, right. Although I was working in London, I don't live in London, so we're quite a long way from London. So my wife had to come up to pick me up and all that sort of stuff. And when we got back to where we live, we they transferred my they transferred my documents from the London hospital to the local hospital. And that's when they picked me up and then decided whether, then we were saying, well, what do we do next? And they said, well, we're going to try and do some speech therapy. But the speech therapy didn't happen for about 6 weeks.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
It wasn't
Mhm.
immediate.
And you didn't have any at that point, you weren't really talking well at that or
Yeah, no, definitely not talking terribly well and couldn't read.
Right.
That was the worst thing. I couldn't.
This
that
guy.
that's me. That was the worst thing.
That was your
But
problem. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, reading, writing, and speaking. I mean, yeah, the reading was the part, all of a sudden I look up and there's words, but that's all
Yeah.
they are,
I
words.
know what they mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Jumbled letters.
Jump.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So fortunately, as I said, my wife was kind of on the ball, so she decided, well, while we're waiting to get the speech therapy, she bought some kids flashcards, with
Yeah.
words and stuff on them. And she
Mhm.
said,
sure,
"Well, we'll just go through," and she give me the flashcards and say, "Well, what's this? Is it snake or a
right.
elephant?" Well, and I had to come up with the word,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
it was really hard work because
Oh, yeah,
I could see. Well, Roger, I could see what it was, and I knew what it
and you
was,
know
but I
the
couldn't.
answers, and you know the answers too, and you can't, but they don't come up. They don't come out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So we persisted with that, and that helped obviously. And she also got me to her name's Anne, by the way. Anne got me um, to read out of a book to try and get the words back. And I think I could do about 2 lines, and then it was too hard for me to
yeah.
do, and I got tired
Well,
and all
that's
that
yeah,
sort
but
of
I
stuff.
mean, yeah, that's what happens. I mean, all of a sudden, I would want to read something, and I didn't know really, I couldn't figure out the words together, and then
Right.
finally when it started to come back, it would just take me forever to read anything.
Right.
Just putting words together was the hardest
Right.
part.
And you say even to this day that
Yeah, I mean,
you still get frustrated when
yeah,
you're reading.
yeah, like when I'm reading
Oh,
it,
yeah.
if
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to read an article, if I want to read an article that normally would take
Take me
yeah,
5 minutes.
5 minutes, it would take me 45 minutes to an hour in the beginning,
Yeah. Yeah.
and after 15 minutes, I get just so frustrated that I say, well, I really don't need to read this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I have the yeah, actually reading anything, is very tiring to me. I can
Absolutely,
read, but after a while, is what Roger said. Yeah, after a while, you get so fed up with it that you just stop. So I can't.
yeah,
I read small articles, but I couldn't read a book.
yeah,
I
I
couldn't
can,
get
yeah, I
through a
can.
book. I couldn't get through a book.
There's no way I could get through a book.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Do you listen to audiobooks now?
Um, yeah, no, sometimes.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah, no,
particularly. No, I can, as I say, I can read, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to read, but as I say, as we just said, it gets frustrating really, or
and
very slow,
Yeah.
or
yeah,
tiring. Yeah,
the tiring is the part.
it's
I
the
mean,
hardest bit, isn't
yeah,
it? Yeah,
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 it's just it's the most frustrating thing in the world trying to read. And the thing is that while you're looking at it, you know what they're trying to say. You know what it is, but
sure, of course.
the words
Yeah,
just don't come there. They're
yeah,
just
yeah.
not there.
It's a very strange thing to have, I have to say. I don't I wouldn't wish it on anybody really.
No, for
But I
sure.
mean, we get I mean, we try and get through these things, don't we? One way and another. And you find other ways of
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. We find different ways I'll change what I'm looking at, or
exactly, yeah.
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 So
Yeah, yeah.
there's always a way to change. There's always a way
Sure.
to figure it out, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's just the frustration part that gets to you.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. And when you can't pick a word, picking the right word is always a problem as well, isn't it? So you go round the houses. So it's one of those things, yeah, man. It's three of those, and it looks like that, and it's one of those, and you know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But
and you
it's
know exactly and what you want to say. I mean,
exactly.
that to me is the other frustrating part. I know what I want to say, and it just doesn't come out the right way.
Wh
And
Yeah.
yeah.
which goes to the name of your, documentary and, podcast, On the Tip of Your Tongue.
that 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 came to me in a flash of whatever I don't know, but yeah, the name.
Well,
Well,
yeah, but that's how we did it with our podcast.
With
When words don't come easy, same
that's
type of
right.
thing
Yeah,
as what you're saying.
exactly
Yeah,
the same thing. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm, yeah, definitely something both of you guys can relate to.
yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when you finally got admitted into therapy, was there any
Sure.
technique or exercises that helped you unlock something?
Um, well, I only had 6 weeks of therapy. Because as you probably know, in the UK, we have our we don't pay for
Right.
health. Well,
Mhm.
people do pay, but most people don't because we pay for it in other ways. But yeah, so I got my 6 weeks, which apparently is the what you normally get. And what they did was mainly worked on my on words. Finding a word and understanding it and being able to remember it or speak it back. So
Right.
I had about 20 words I seem to remember at the first, and I could get about 5 of those, and
Gotcha.
then they got better and better, and when I could do them all. I
Right.
had an app on my iPad, the name of which I can't remember.
Tac the Tactus therapy?
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had that um, on my iPad, and I did drills with that. So because they give you drills, don't they? Can you
Yeah.
you remember those words? So I did that, and that helped quite a lot actually. I
Mhm.
found that quite helpful. Um, and by the end of the 6 weeks, it was much improved, I would say. They did a good job, and, kind of pushing you on to do things that perhaps you couldn't think you would be able to do, but they push you on to do it. So they were very good.
This guy's still going to speech
Yeah,
therapy.
I go to
I
speech therapy once, yeah, still once a week, and it's 9 years.
Right, okay. Wow. What do they work on?
They well, you know what? It's everything, because in the beginning, it was word processing and so on. But,
Sure.
at this point now, I get a lot of homework, different types of things that she wants me to
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
and I would say the last couple of months, I'd say the last maybe 6, 8 months, a lot of it is just speaking. In other words, we'll have
Okay.
a conversation. My sessions are like 50 minutes. So I
Right,
would say 40 minutes of that is conversation.
right.
And whatever, whatever we decide to talk about, when I walk in.
Sports.
So it could be anything.
Right.
But it's the conversation back and forth,
Sure.
is what we're really working on
Right.
now.
And that
It's
helps, doesn't it?
oh,
If you can if you could keep talking to somebody, it helps,
Yeah,
doesn't
and,
it? Yeah.
she knows how to kinda push me,
Right,
different
right.
directions. So,
Okay.
she'll say
Right.
something, and she knows what I wanna say, but she won't help me. She makes me have to come up with the words that I need. That,
Sure.
she'll push me a little bit, but, I'm the one who has to do
Do the work. The
do the
heavy
work, yeah.
lifting, as they say, yeah.
Heavy
Um,
lifting.
well, yeah, I mean, I have to say your speech is pretty good.
Well, as I said, it's been a lot of years, so, from where it
Right.
was to where it is now,
Yeah,
I and I it's funny when when I try and talk easy, when I know what I wanna say, and I take my time, a lot of times,
that's
more
right.
things will come up.
Yeah,
But,
it does help.
but yeah, it does help slowing down, but the problem
Yeah,
is, we've grown up speaking quickly, all of
sure.
us.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
trying to change the direction of it, making it
yeah.
slower is harder, that's the hard
It's a
yeah,
very
that's the
good
hardest.
point because we all speak too quickly, don't we? I mean, quite speaking quite quickly now, but,
Right.
if I had aphasia, which I have, but if mine was worse, if it was worse, I would have trouble catching up.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
No, even not having aphasia, it's hard to keep it, up
well,
with
yeah, it
some.
depends who's depends who you speak to.
Exactly. No, so I mean, yeah, I can imagine just how difficult it is for you guys. So,
Yeah.
after you finished that 6 weeks, what was the plan after that? What did you and your wife do?
Well, you kind of carry on because I suppose what they'd done, they'd given me a kind of basis to do all this stuff. So the 6 weeks was a kind of, you know, we worked on what we'd done in the 6 weeks and kept going with it, I
Mhm.
suppose.
It's
Um,
just a start it's just a start.
it was a start, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I think that's probably when I got the iPad. I'm pretty sure that's right. When I got the iPad app,
Yeah.
that's when I kind of carried on because it replaced what was happening, in the sessions. So we did that and just carried on doing more, I suppose.
Mhm.
Um, but I think probably my bleed was in January, and I think all of that year I was still struggling one way or another about speech and all that sort of thing. So it is a good year, I think, before I was feeling I was more confident. But
Yeah,
is you,
before you
what you lose is your confidence, actually.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because as I said a second ago, I mean, you know what you want to say, it just
Yeah,
doesn't come there, and
yeah, yeah.
the longer it takes, then the more frustrated you get,
That's right.
and the more frustrated you get, the more anxiety you get.
and
That's right.
especially
It's true.
when you're around other people,
Yeah,
you
That's
feel pressure.
particularly that.
it's
Yeah,
the pressure. It's the pressure. It's the pressure that when you have to speak, you know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
this person talks, and then you wanna say you wanna say something
Yeah,
too, but they're speaking and they're speaking quickly and quick. All of a sudden it comes to you and you're like freeze because it's
that's right.
just yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you
Yeah, yeah.
you just can't come up with the right word.
Working being in a group is quite hard. Even now, I find it difficult.
Mhm.
Um, for exactly as Roger said, you can't think fast enough to keep up with the conversation. The other problem I have, and I still have sometimes, is when I go into a store, a shop, or store, and I want to ask somebody, I'm going to buy something. I go on my own, and I want to buy what I want to buy, and that's a problem as well because I I kind of I used to rehearse what I was going to say when you
I
go
do,
into the
I still do now.
oh,
I
do you?
read
Okay.
yeah, oh, I do that all the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask them this, and they're going to say that, and
mhm.
yeah, that sort of stuff.
Did you have any techniques that you use to help yourself remember? Did you write it down? What did you do to help
Um,
yourself in those situations?
I think I go through. I think I just go through it in my head. Basically, I
Mhm.
don't write things. I generally don't write things down. Not that sort of thing, anyway. So I just rehearse it. Basically, walking down the street, you know, um, I'm going to go to the shop store and say, "I want this."
Right.
Yeah. I want
And if
coffee.
it's something that, but we're not talking about groceries. I know there's a hardware store around the corner from me. If I go in there, I have to kind of work out what I was going to say to them or what I'm going to ask them to get what I need from them.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but then once when you know what you wanna say, and then it's your turn to say it, and then you freeze again.
Yeah, you freeze again. Yeah. And then they ask you a question you haven't got an
Right.
answer for.
That's it,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're like, "I wasn't prepared for that one."
And, oh, yeah. Why did you ask me this?
Yeah. So what made you decide to start sharing your story, and why did you think that it needed to become a film?
Okay, right. So the story was I found out that there was a group near me. Um, so I just turned up to see what it was all about, and I met the people there, and the lady that runs it and all that sort of stuff. And talking to her, I realized that people. It's the problem, as we know, is people don't understand what it is for a start,
Yeah.
don't quite understand how it manifests itself, and so on and so forth. So it came to me that I would maybe because well, my background, some of my background is making films, so
Mhm.
which was what I was doing when I was doing the job just before I started, just before I had the stroke. So in my background is putting stuff visually, I suppose. So I thought, well, it would give me something to do as well because I'm not working. So I lost not lose my job. I didn't. My work dried up.
Right.
So I decided that to do that, so that would help me uh, to understand why people, you know, don't understand aphasia and so on. So the film came out of that. So what I did is uh, uh, I I got some money together under my own steam, as it were. So I did a Kickstarter, and I
Okay.
did another one, just giving, I think it was, and I
Mhm.
got together enough money to to people help me do the film because I could do it on my own, but it's better if you get other people
Yeah, hey,
involved. So I
yeah,
paid some people to do stuff, and I did some stuff for myself. And I did most of the interviews, the stuff that you see on the film.
right.
I did all that, um, and um, and put it together. And I thought, well, at least somebody people could understand what the problem was, and the reason the people I picked, and I wanted to pick young people, not older people. Sorry,
Yeah.
Roger, but but you think, well, it's not something just happens to people who are older.
Right.
Strokes happen to people any age.
Any age,
So
yeah.
I picked these two kids, and they were kids,
Yeah.
because he had a brain injury and she had a stroke, and I thought, well, I picked them because they were good. It was a good way to people to understand that it isn't just something you get when you're older, right?
Yeah.
It can happen anytime,
Right.
Mhm.
uh, uh, and that's how I put it. That's why I put it together. Um, and it took me a while to do it. Obviously, I had to get the money together, and then I had to do it, and I had to edit it, and so on and so forth, and then put it out on um, various platforms.
While you were working on the project, did you see it as a form of therapy for yourself?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, we'll just talk about this later, but yeah, I mean, to get busy about something helps anyway, because, as I say, my work had dried up, so I had something else. I had to do something else, and
Yeah.
this was my outlet, if you like,
Yeah, definitely. Something to focus
uh,
on.
something to focus on. Exactly. So it's become my job, I suppose, really, one way and
Yeah.
another. Yeah.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Did you expect the film to resonate so much with caregivers and speech therapists as well?
To be honest, I don't know what was expecting. I mean, I did what I could to push it out, and get people to know that it existed and so on and so forth. But I didn't know whether it was going to just disappear like these things do, you know,
Right.
Mhm.
and nobody will ever see it ever again. Um, but over time, more and more people have seen it.
There's so much good advice in there, and there's such good descriptions of
Oh,
what aphasia actually is.
absolutely.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I decided that was one of the things I wanted to do with the. You're talking about the motion graphics that I use
Yes,
that we
exactly.
use. Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I got a guy to do that. I wrote the
Mhm.
script. Somebody else,
Uh-huh.
no, somebody else wrote the script. Anyway, I helped. I got him to do what I wanted him to do,
Uh-huh.
and he made a good job of it. Actually,
Yeah,
I
no, he
thought
did because that's what we always talk about, and the reason why we have the podcast is spreading the word of aphasia.
that's right.
There's 2,000,000 people or 2,000,000 plus people in America. I'm not sure the
Yeah,
numbers for the UK. Sure, it's somewhat similar.
it's
Um,
350,000.
350, okay.
yeah.
You're a big country. We're a small country, so
But but like you said, that's a very large amount of people that have no idea
sure.
what
Oh God,
aphasia is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when they see someone like you or my dad speaking, and they hear you guys stuttering, or they hear you guys might not being able to find a word, it's important that they know that it hasn't affected your intelligence, that this is just a speech issue, that this is just a
Indeed,
reading
yeah,
issue.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's really what we're here to spread the word for, and that's why I think your documentary and your podcast is very important. And I think it's really cool that, we're here in the US and you're over there, and we're all sharing this message. And so hopefully it resonates with people out there.
And we hope that obviously we hope that more people will do it. I mean, because we can. We cross the pond, as they say. We can we can meet and talk as we do,
Yeah.
and then hopefully other people will hear the same stories.
Well, that's yeah, I mean, there's so many different stories, but the bottom line is they're the same. They're all
Yeah,
different, but they're the same. If
yeah,
you know
yeah,
if you
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
say.
I
It's,
do. Yeah, yeah.
everybody yeah, I mean, nobody knew what aphasia was, and
Once you get it,
well, yeah,
you have to
no,
live with it.
yeah,
You're lonely, you're frustrated, and
and nobody knew what it was. I mean,
mhm,
that's the
No.
whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
And still don't. I
yeah,
mean, a guy came on a musician. He came on my podcast, and he afterwards he was saying, "Oh, well, he goes to a hospital near him to do kind of spread the word, and he goes to the students in the hospital, and he said probably 90% of them don't know what aphasia is for a
aphasia.
start,
mhm.
and even when you tell them what it is, they don't quite understand what it's
Right, they
Yeah,
they don't
about.
grasp it. Yeah.
yeah,
They don't grasp it exactly.
yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
So it's a long road, you know, it's doing this
Oh,
because it take. I mean, I've been doing this for the film's what 3 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, getting on for 4 years. Podcast is 2 years, and it's still
Mm,
scratching the surface. Yeah.
right, right, and have you found that speaking to other aphasia survivors, that does that help you hearing other people's stories?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
As Roger said, I mean, the bottom line is we've all got the same problem. It's all slightly different. People have different versions of it for a start. Fortunately, we can speak. Some people can't
some
speak,
people can't speak right.
Mhm.
Yes.
don't speak at all, or speak very little. I mean, I had a lady on my podcast a couple of months ago, and she's very good, but she can't really have the conversation that we're having. We had to do some of her stuff for her. Um, she's fine, but she gets tired, usual story, and all that stuff. But we she has the same problem we have, but she's probably less able, should we say, to do what we're
Right.
doing. Yeah.
Right.
So what changes would you like to see in hospitals or rehabilitation systems? I know I'm just throwing through
Where do you start
yeah, I
that
know
one?
I'm just throwing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
out there, but,
Where do you start that one then? Well, I suppose I've just done a podcast with a lady from America, so we've had kind of discussions about free health, and you have to pay for yours.
Right.
yes.
We generally don't have to pay for ours, although people do, as I've said. But 80%, no, 90% of the population in the UK does not pay for. The downside is, of course, that they have to wait. It's not like on the telly when they take you in straight away. Doesn't
Yeah.
work like that. Not in
Uh-huh.
this country. And also it depends where you live in the country. So some parts of the country, our country, are better than others. It's the same in America, I know.
Yeah.
The bigger cities are harder to get help in, and the
Right.
small, obviously the smaller places. But if it's a very small place, you're not too near, you're not near enough a hospital.
Yeah, you're not getting a or you're not getting the best doctor maybe.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So there's a kind of there's a sweet spot, I suspect. If the right size of
Yeah, you
uh,
gotta find the
t-
population of the town
that's it,
and
get
then
the right one in the right place, and so on and so forth.
hope that your stroke happens within that
That's right. Yeah.
vicinity.
Then, yeah. Um, so yeah. So I mean, it's a difficult question to answer. To be honest, I think it's the same whichever country you talk to. There's never
Mhm.
enough time and money for people to get better. You know.
Exactly. Well,
Um,
Well, what's really hard with what you just said was that you have to wait. I
oh,
mean,
sure.
the problem with waiting is
It's
you
worse.
really, yeah, it
Yeah.
gets worse because if you don't start speaking or if you don't start
Yeah.
learning
Yeah.
how to talk or learning how to do whatever you have to be doing, if
That's right.
you have to start that right away. If you wait 6
Sure.
months or
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You're right.
you
Uh,
lose, yeah, you lose all that time. You lose all that
like you said it took 6 weeks before you started speech therapy.
yeah.
I mean, obviously now you sound great, but I mean, that was 6 weeks that you lost. I
Sure.
mean, even though you were doing stuff at home, that was still 6 weeks that and
Well, yeah.
they say that the first 6 weeks is really the most
Absolutely.
important when you need to get that
Yeah,
therapy.
that's
well,
right. That's a good
and you were lucky because you had your wife who knew.
I think that's very true.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Uh-huh.
it's very
she
true.
would.
I think if I was with someone who was less, what should we say, was not aware, maybe, I don't know how to say this, but if I was with somebody else who didn't know what to do next, you
Uh-huh.
know,
Yes,
uh,
I see. My wife teaches kindergarten, and
okay,
so she brought home just the same thing what you were doing,
yeah, yeah,
that your wife did.
yeah,
She
yeah,
brought home kindergarten stuff for me to start
sure,
reading.
yeah, yeah,
So I was a So
Got you
between
going.
my
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so yeah,
yeah,
between having my own having a speech therapist that I was working
yeah.
with and having my wife who was giving me, so right from day one,
Day one.
uh, yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
I had the right thing, I was in the right direction.
I think we can agree that if we'd like to see a change, it would be that rehab started immediately and that
Yes,
there was less
indeed.
red tape to get involved.
Wherever you live.
What would you say to someone who's newly diagnosed who feels like their progress has plateaued?
You have to obviously have to keep at it, and I think it if you could talk to people with the same problem, I think that helps.
Mhm.
If you can get in a group, the groups I think the groups I've come across in the UK anyway, I'm sure it's the same in the US as well. The groups help a lot because you're talking with as we are now, we're talking with the people who've got the same problem, so they
Mhm.
understand your frustrations and all that sort of stuff. So I would say if you've plateaued and you're not in a group, that's the first thing you do: get in a group and get talking to other people with the same problem.
Right on. I can definitely see that, and I can definitely see how that helps a survivor speaking to somebody
Yeah,
else, and because I can't relate no matter how much I speak to people with aphasia or I talk to my dad, I'm never gonna know what's going on in
Oh,
his head and your head, and so I
oh,
agree with you that I think it's very important
yeah,
for
yeah.
survivors to speak to each other.
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is kind of what the podcast does. I hope, the podcast is trying to get one of the reasons it's kept it's I do get I get some I get a grant to do some of this. So I got a grant, and the reason they gave me the money for the grant is because I'm dealing with people, the lived experience, should we call it that?
Yeah,
Uh, I do more of those than I do talking to people about aphasia. I talk to people with aphasia,
Right.
and I think that's the difference. I mean, obviously, I do talk to people who are uh, uh, professionals,
yeah,
clinicians or whatever, because you need to get their take on things. But
Absolutely.
you
exactly.
also need to talk to the people who've got the problem.
The ground level, the ground floor.
Well, we
Exactly.
know, yeah, because we know the right questions
Exactly.
at that
Yeah.
point. We know how we know what to ask.
Yeah.
We know how to speak, how to speak. It's what it is. We speak the same language is
Exactly.
what it is.
Yeah.
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 So before we finish this off, I was wondering, what does finding your voice mean to you now?
I suppose it's going back to what we were talking about earlier is keeping obviously keeping busy doing what I'm doing. I think that's helped me immeasurably. And I think over the 2 years that I've been doing this has helped my um, help me actually doing these things, talking to people, and also the um, kind of the project management side of thing, if you want to call it that, the organizing. It's
Yeah,
helped me do that.
I think that's pretty cool that you're taking something from before you had aphasia, your project
Yeah,
management and all
yeah,
those skills, and you're using it
yeah,
now towards uh, all of your recovery now.
yeah. Well said.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, yes, it's fortunately I've got the skills to pass on, I guess.
Yeah,
But I've made what I made what I've got. Sorry, start again. I've what I've got. I've made as my best use of, shall we say?
Right.
I'll say this again. I'll make the best use of what I've have now in terms of skills,
yeah,
and this is what's helped me to do what we're doing now.
I think
Yeah.
that's great.
I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, this is we have to have people have to hear what we're saying. They have
yeah,
to try and understand what we're saying, and we're trying to yeah, we're trying to put it out there that what aphasia
sure.
is, and that it doesn't it hasn't affected anything other than our speaking and our language speaking.
Your
Yeah,
language
our
skills.
language. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
language skills.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Well well, thank you for being here. We will share all your links for On the Tip of Your Tongue. We hope that all of our audience members watch the documentary, check out your podcast.
And obviously, well, we'll do the same for you. So we'll have a we'll cross things over to each other.
Definitely.
It's great, and I think what you're doing is fantastic.
Well, we
Um,
appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we
yeah,
just want people to understand what we have. That word aphasia, nobody knows it. I mean, that's a word that's out there that it's just not
as
known.
somebody said, why did they pick a word like aphasia? Because before you even start, it's a difficult word, isn't it? It's
Right.
it's Greek.
Try and
It's
spell
Greek. Try and spell it. Yeah. It's
it.
Greek. It's Greek for a start. It's not. Yeah, so maybe somebody comes up with a better word. A word that people could understand that isn't aphasia. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my
Well,
thought.
we'll think of one, you'll think of one, and we'll see it. We'll see what
Yeah,
we can do.
yeah, yeah. Good luck
Alright,
with
well,
that.
yeah.
Exactly.
Alright, well, thank you again.
Thank you
It's
so much.
my pleasure, and
No,
thank you for doing this.
we really
No,
appreciate
no,
having you on.
no. It's been great. Thank you very
Alright,
much indeed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
take care.
Bye.